The science of ergonomic studies is how best to fit the work environment to the worker. Engineers designed equipment and tools that work well with the human body, but we are each different in so many ways. Taller, slimmer, shorter arms or fingers, longer legs, that creating a workstation that fits just us is virtually impossible. Other factors can affect how we relate to our work environment as well. Physical fitness can play a major part. Our state of mind can even have an impact. In this program, we'll bring all of these diverse elements together to see how a little ergonomic knowledge can improve your health, your work performance, even the way you feel about yourself. First, we have to understand something about how the human body works. The human body is amazingly adaptable. Whether it's the heat of the tropics or the cold of the Arctic, there are just a few environments we can't adjust to. Some environments are tougher than others. In fact, you enter one of the most challenging every day, your office.
Okay, well, I'm going to send it to him and
If you're not careful, things that you do in your workplace on a daily basis can injure, even disable you. The reasons for this involve your body's ligaments, tendons, muscles, and nerves. Ligaments are coarse bands of tissue that join individual links of bone together. Together, bones and ligaments form the joints. Tendons attach muscles to bones. The muscles, in turn, power our every movement. Nerves interwoven among all tissues convey electrical impulses to and from the brain, telling the muscles what we want them to do. Problems arise when these body parts are subjected to stresses beyond their ability to adapt. When this happens, muscles can be torn, tendons and ligaments can inflame or rip, and nerves can be squeezed or pressed against bone. Carpal tunnel syndrome and tendinitis are two of the most common afflictions that can result from overworking our bodies. Carpal tunnel results from the compression of the median nerve where it passes through the wrist into the hand. Symptoms include numbness, a tingling sensation, or severe pain in the hands and fingers. Tendinitis causes burning or sharp pains as a result of the overworked tendons swelling. It commonly affects hand, arm, shoulder, foot, and leg muscles. Reports of injuries like carpal tunnel and tendinitis are growing in alarming numbers. As a group, they are called musculoskeletal disorders, MSDs. An MSD that is the result of repeated injury or stress is called a cumulative trauma disorder or repetitive strain injury. These are all serious conditions that can result in time away from work, lost income, and in the worst cases, a lifetime of pain and suffering. The best treatment for all of these injuries is prevention. Learning the associated risk factors is the first step. All work requires some movement, no matter how small. Normally, this builds strong muscles and joints, but some movements can actually start to tear our bodies down. To avoid these problems, the best strategy is to minimize your exposure to the risk factors that are linked to musculoskeletal disorders. Every job is different, so it's important to study the factors specific to each one. This will help you develop ways to minimize your vulnerability to injuries. Your posture plays a significant part in how susceptible you are to ergonomic injuries. Awkward body positions should be avoided at all times. Here are some examples. Twisting or bending at the waist is a common cause of lower back pain. Moving the hand in either an up and down or side-to-side motion is not natural either. If prolonged, these activities can lead to carpal tunnel syndrome and tendinitis. Raising or extending the arms can be a source of shoulder and neck disorders. Bending or tilting the neck may also cause pain in the neck and shoulder areas. But it's not just awkward positions that can lead to ergonomic injuries. Repetitive movements can be just as damaging. The number of times that you are exposed to an unhealthy motion is critical. For instance, things that can be done safely every once in a while, such as lifting boxes, can be harmful if they are performed for extended periods of time. Even small movements, such as manipulating a computer mouse, can add up to big damage when they are done repetitively. Long periods of repetitive motion can lead to numerous joint problems. Muscles used in these motions can become fatigued and actually tear. And stress on the tendons is magnified significantly by the repeated use of a limited number of muscles. To head these problems off, take occasional breaks from repetitive motions to give the muscles involved a rest. Alternating your activities to use different muscle groups can be beneficial as well. Repetition can be bad enough, but when force is applied, the damage is multiplied. Using too much force can lead to carpal tunnel syndrome, tendinitis, and neck pain. To prevent this, know how to use tools and equipment correctly, and when to get a heavy-duty model if necessary. And although vibration is rarely an office issue, many musculoskeletal disorders actually start at home, where vibrating tools can frequently be found. Hand-arm vibration syndrome has been linked to the use of equipment such as chainsaws and hand drills. Symptoms include numbness and tingling in the fingers, increased sensitivity to cold, reduced grip strength, and restricted finger movement. In addition, the fingers may develop a paleness known as blanching. To combat this, wear gloves to insulate your hands from the vibration. Tools with adjustable torque features can also reduce the shock to your hand. Our day can involve many postures and movements which we can't always control. What we can control is how we react, and the best reaction is usually to adapt in the healthiest way possible. In order to work comfortably, we need to maintain body postures that place the least amount of strain on our muscles and nerves. This is where neutral positions come in. Neutral positions keep the limbs at 90-degree angles to the body, which creates the least amount of stress. While you're sitting, your chair is a good ally in your effort to maintain neutral positions. It should be set so that your thighs form a right angle to your lower legs, and your feet rest flat on the floor or a footrest. This also keeps your legs from dangling, which puts a lot of stress on the lower back. The seat should be high enough in relation to your work surface so that you can position your forearms at a right angle to your upper arms. If reaching the neutral position for both your arms and legs conflict, choose the position that accommodates your arms first. Then use a footrest to get the proper leg position. Keep your lower back or lumbar region fully supported. This helps maintain the natural forward curve of the spine and relieves pressure on the spinal discs. If you need help, use a lumbar cushion, pillow, or even a rolled-up towel to keep your back straight. Make sure your torso is at a 90-degree angle to your thighs. This is another neutral position that reduces strain on the lower back. When your work requires standing, it's still important that your arms retain the neutral position. Raise your work surface or use a platform if necessary. Be cautious about reaching for things. Overstretching can cause chronic injuries like lower back pain. To prevent this, organize your tools and materials so they are easy to get to, usually 14 to 18 inches away. We've seen how unnatural movements can hurt your back and legs. Unfortunately, these aren't the only parts of the body at risk from bad ergonomic habits. With the rise of carpal tunnel syndrome and similar conditions, guarding against hand and wrist injuries becomes an increasingly important factor when using office equipment. Be careful when flexing your hand inward or extending it outward. These two positions can create a lot of stress and are best avoided. Other potentially unhealthy motions are repeated or extended movements of the hands from side to side or rotation in an up or down direction. Force is an issue for the hands too. For instance, typing too vigorously can be a source of trouble. Don't use more power than necessary to activate the keys.